Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palms. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free. You know I'm addicted to you, and it's twisted, you've been gifted with the evil voodoo. Got me coming back for more, even when I've been screwed. Dolls full of pins, pierce my heart straight through. I got issues in my head, I like you in my bed, but you keep me on red. Oh, everything is like a test, I better not text or I'll come off desperate.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, baby you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed, thinking something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
So if I play dead, will you regret everything that you did, that you said? I don't think you understand what you're doing, and my heart's black and blue from the bruising. I feel like when I'm with you I'm losing. I feel like you think that this amusing, sitting there gaslighting and confusing. Was it me? Is it me? Am I deluded? I'm the one who's always sorry, the conclusion, even though I offer all of the solutions. I wish you loved me like I love you, it's stupid. When I'm alone with you I never feel lucid. I wish I wasn't struck by Cupid. I wish when I first saw you I knew this. When I'm with you I feel so useless, I feel diluted, my heart's been wounded. Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really know just what you want. With you I don't ever feel calm. I can feel the sweat inside my palm. Play with me like cats and a string. You don't understand the pain it brings. You don't ever wanna give me wings. You don't ever wanna set me free.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, baby you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed, thinking something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me? 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 But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, baby you'll get sick of being the monster out of my head, under my bed, thinking something out of my nightmares, standing right there. But if I lay down and I play dead and I stay dead, then will you get bored of killing me?
Silhouettes of you are like a taunt. Never really
obviously like duplicating and they're all sitting in there like so. But we want all these elements to intelligently kind of respond to the device size over on the right hand side. Well, now when you click on any element in Adobe XD, in the properties panel, you're gonna get the responsive resize option. And by default, it's gonna be on for you. If we click over to manual, you can see what type of settings. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna click on my logo that's inside there, and then I'm going to click on manual and see how it has assigned its responsive resizing properties. It's smart enough to know that it's over on the left-hand side, so we wanna keep it anchored to the left. It's given it a fixed width and a fixed height. Okay, so now we wanna do the same thing. We're gonna click on our hamburger menu, same thing, fixed width, fixed height, and it's anchored to the right. Now we have the actual bar itself, the rectangle behind it, and that is going to be anchored to all sorts of sizes, but we do want it to have a fixed height. So now you can see our little kind of pinning action here. It's pinned. It means it's gonna stay anchored to the top and to the left and right of the screen as you stretch it. And that it's gonna have a fixed height, which means it's never going to get larger, because that's not how mobile design works, right? We want it to stretch across, but not necessarily get bigger. And so now I can take my navigation that we have here, and I'm just going to copy it and paste it into my design over here. We're gonna go in and just grab a few of these like same elements, and we're going to kind of just drop them over, and we're gonna see what happens when we try to stretch everything across. Everything stretches like we would want it to, so that's really, really nice. Our table cell stretch. Now we could, if we wanted to, stretch this out, but what's awesome is you'll notice if you look really closely, the pink lines that are appearing around my text, my typography, it is staying anchored to the left and to the bottom, just like it was assigned in its kind of responsive resizing options. And so that works really, really good. Now we can just continue to go on different artboards and have perfect responsive designs no matter what device size. Okay, the next thing you're gonna wanna know how to do is to preview your designs in XD. There's two ways you can preview designs. The first way is to roll up to the top right corner and press the play icon, and we're gonna get a previewer right here on our screen. This is really, really effective if you've gone through and done some prototyping, so now we can click from piece to piece and actually see how things work. You will notice also that if I move things around on my design, they are moving around live in my previewer. You also have the ability to record things right here and export different types of movie files, and you can share those with different people. The second way you can preview your designs is to head up to the top right and hit the actual device icon, and make sure that you've downloaded the Adobe XD viewer, and you're able to then, if you've saved it to the cloud, or you can do a live preview, and it's gonna load it right there on your device. It does require that you have your device plugged in to actually do that viewing, so you can't just do it by Bluetooth. But if anything was prototyped here, I'd be able to tap on the different areas and actually watch it interact and swipe in between screens. And so that's real nice. That's a good way to preview it as well. The next thing you're gonna wanna know how to do is work with images inside of Adobe XD, and that's really, really simple. If we just kind of zoom in, and let's say we wanted an image on our screen, we could take an image and we can drop it in, and immediately this is just a straight up bitmap image, and it's being dropped into our design. We can resize our image. We can also change the border radius of the image. It's just gonna kind of crop those in a little bit. We can also double click on the image and kind of move it around inside of its frame. So that's one way you can do it. The way I like to work with images inside of XD is actually to draw a shape and then take an image and try to drop it inside of the shape. Anytime you see a blue highlight, that's XD trying to mask that image into that shape. What's great about this technique is that you can actually move your shape around, change your shape, the size or the constraints of your shape, and it's gonna try to mask the image and keep it looking good. You can then also double click on the image and actually affect the image inside of the mask while still kind of keeping it constrained correctly. So that's working with images in XD. It's really, really easy, really nice. Okay, next thing we need to talk about is prototyping. It's kind of a big deal in XD. It's so big, it has its own tab up at the top. We were in the design tab, now we're in the prototyping tab. And prototyping is really, really easy. You're literally just gonna click on any sort of element that you want, like for instance, our card, and you'll get a little blue tab to the side of it. You grab that tab and just connect it to whatever artboard you'd like to go to, and you're gonna set the type of trigger, like for instance, a tap. We're gonna do a transition, and we're gonna choose the destination to the second artboard there. And then we wanna choose some sort of transition. So we'd like to maybe slide up like a modal or something. And we're gonna do, let's do ease in and out, and we'll preserve the scroll position. That's good. And now when we grab our icon, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna transition back to here, and we will just do slide down. I like that Adobe XD actually remembers your last kind of constraints you put in, so it's remembering them and repeating them. So all I had to do is change from slide up to slide down, and we are good to go. Now I can preview my design, and you'll see when I roll over, I get some sort of like little hint that that's gonna work, and it does the transition for me, and I can transition back. So that's really, really nice. I like that. We also have the ability to do timed transitions. So we can come in here and get to this artboard and create a time transition on the artboard. So we could say after, let's do 3 seconds, that it will transition back to 1 by sliding down, or maybe we'll just do a dissolve out like that. Now when we preview, we're starting at home, we're going, and we should count 1, 2, 3, it's going to transition back out for us. So time transitions are kind of a new thing to XD, although prototyping is not. It's one of the main fundamental things you'd want to use XD for, is to create these large-scale interactive prototypes of your project and be able to share those with the people that you need to share them with. Which leads us to our final point. It's all about sharing. Sharing is caring, and XD is all about sharing. And so we are in our prototype view right now. Doesn't matter if you're in your design or prototype, the share icon will always show up in the very top right. And by clicking it, I can publish the prototype, publish some design specs, or manage my publish links. But first thing we're gonna do is publish our prototype. We're gonna allow for comments, open it in full screen. We wanna show the hints. Do we want a password to be required for somebody to have access to it? No, I don't think so. And we'll just name this prototype soccer, and we'll create a public link. We can embed our prototype. We can grab the link and copy it and just share that in an email or a text message, or we can come over here and just open up the link in our browser. It's going to open up that prototype, and now people are able to go in and kind of view our prototype and click around and play with it. They don't have to have an application to check it out. They can just do it right here in the browser, and that's pretty nice. Well, that's it. Those are the 10 things you need to know when you first open up Adobe XD. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I do lots of videos about design and development and walkthroughs just like this one, so maybe stick around. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comments. I hope you guys are having an amazing week designing amazing things, making amazing things, and using the right tool for the job. I'll see you in the next one.
Hello and welcome to an Envato Tuts Plus course. I'm Adi Purdila, and in this course you'll learn everything you need to get started with Adobe XD. And for those of you who don't know, XD is a very popular app for UI and UX design that allows you to effortlessly create websites, mobile apps, icons, and more. Now, being such a powerful app, XD has lots of features, lots of tools. So to cover all of this, we're going to take it step by step and structure this course in 3 chapters. The first one is all about the basics. Here, you'll learn how to work with artboards, shapes, text, and images. In the second chapter, we'll explore some of XD's more advanced features like components, responsive layouts, and plugins. Finally, in the third chapter, we'll cover XD's prototyping features, including Auto Animate, which is a simple and powerful way of adding animations to XD prototypes. All right, we have a lot to go through, so let's get started with the basics. In the next lesson, you'll learn how to create and manage artboards. See you there. Welcome to the first lesson of this course, where you'll learn how to create and manage artboards. But first, let's see how we can get Adobe XD and also do a quick tour of the interface. To get Adobe XD, you can go to this address right here and then hit on download, and it's going to take you to this page. Now, you need to have an Adobe account to continue, so either create one, or if you already have an account, go ahead and sign in. I'm going to sign in with my account. Here it's going to ask you a few questions like, what are your skill levels with XD? Let's just say beginners. I am a visual graphic designer and I'm downloading XD for myself. Continue. And next, it's going to tell you that XD is being installed by the Creative Cloud desktop app. This is true regardless of the operating system you're using. So XD works on both Mac and Windows. So if you already have the Creative Cloud desktop app installed like I do, it's going to prompt you to open it. If not, it's going to download and install that app. So I'm just going to hit Open Creative Cloud Desktop App. And right here, you can see that XD is already installed on my system. Now, before we open this, I just want to quickly talk about the plans you can choose. So let's go back to Creative Cloud, and I hit on Upgrade Plan. You're going to see a list of all the available plans you can purchase. The ones that we're interested in are this one, which is Adobe XD, $10 a month, or All Apps, which is $53 a month. which includes everything, basically, the whole Adobe suite. So if you're just getting started with XD, you can use it for free, actually. So XD is a free product, but if you're paying $10 a month, you do get access to shared prototypes, design specs, and also cloud storage, and also access to Adobe Portfolio, Fonts, and Spark. We're going to use the free version that I have here installed. So let's go ahead and open it. And this is the opening screen for XD. From here, you can start a new design. You can open a design that you previously worked on. Let's choose this one. Double click, and it's going to open up this window here. So now a quick tour of the interface. This right here in the middle is the canvas. This is an artboard. Let's actually delete it. On the left side, we have the tool panel. From here, you can select the different tools that you want to use. This is where you switch from layers to assets to plugins. On the right side, we have the inspector panel. So depending on which item you select in your canvas, you'll have different properties here in the inspector. On the top here, you have an option to go back to your home screen. And also you can switch from design mode to prototype mode to share mode. But we'll talk more about these as the course progresses. This is where you can name your document, and you can select where to save it, either in the cloud or on your computer. And here we have some prototyping features like mobile preview, desktop preview, and also zooming features. So as I was saying, we're going to go through these as the course progresses. Right now, let's talk about artboards. How do you create and manage them? First of all, artboards are specific areas you can create in your infinite canvas, and these areas can contain objects or groups of objects. So for example, if you're designing a mobile app, you can grab the artboard tool, which is this, or you can press A on your keyboard, and you can drag a specific size artboard, or you can choose from a preset that can be found on this right-hand side. So we find presets for Apple devices. Here is the preset name and also the size in pixels. Google presets for Android, Microsoft for Surface devices, and also web. So if you're creating websites, you have a couple of presets you can use to get started. Let's choose Web 1280, and that's going to create an artboard that's 1280 by 800. You can find the width and height right here in the inspector. If at some point you decide, okay, this is too small for me, no problem. You can simply select the artboard and resize it using any of these controls. You might have noticed this dotted line here. That actually highlights the viewport height, which is set right here. So for example, if you are designing for a specific screen size like 1280 by 800, by using this feature, you're going to see where is the viewport limit. So what elements will you be seeing on your screen at one point? Anything below this line is basically below the fold and can only be accessed when you scroll down the page. Now, you can also change the orientation of an artboard by using these two buttons, so you can switch between portrait and landscape. Now, for an artboard, you always have the option to change its fill color, so you can remove it altogether, or you can change it to whatever color you want. And you can choose between a solid color, a linear gradient, or a radial gradient. If at any point you want to delete an artboard, you simply select it either from the canvas or from the layer list, and you can hit delete, or you can right-click here and say delete. Renaming an artboard is really simple. Simply double-click on the artboard name here, or you can right-click and select rename. Now you can have as many artboards as you want in your project. Simply by clicking on these presets, you can create a vast number of artboards. Now you can use the keyboard shortcuts Control-0 on Windows or Command-0 on a Mac to see all of your artboards, or you can hit Control or Command-1 to zoom to 100%, or you can select one artboard or one object and hit Command or Control-3, and that's gonna zoom in so you can see that object fully. Now, you might have noticed that when I was hovering on some of these artboards, we get a little change of cursor here. We get a handle. These are called artboard guides, and you can drag them from the top or from the left side. And those pink numbers and lines will tell you the dimensions or the distance between this guide and the edges of the artboard. Right now I have 100 pixels distance between the guide and the left-hand side of the page. And you can do the same from the top, and you can add as many guides as you want. If at some point you want to delete a guide, simply drag it and drag it back to the edge it came from. These are very useful, for example, when you want to align certain objects to the guides. They simply snap in place very easily. Now, something else you might have seen when I had an artboard selected is this grid option. Well, you can create grids in XD very simple, very easily. Let's select this artboard, for example. Check grid. Here you have an option to select a layout grid or a square grid. The square grid looks something like this. It's a square, and you can specify the grid size. Here's 8, and if you want to change it to 16, you can do that as well. This is very useful for creating icons. But for web designers in particular, the layout grid is very useful because you can create these vertical columns, and you can choose the number of columns, the color, the gutter width, and the column width. You can also choose to center the grid, and that's going to create equal margins on the left and right, or you can choose different margins for left and right. And of course, having this grid allows you to snap items and quickly align them to the grid columns. Very, very useful feature. Now, before we wrap up this lesson, I just want to quickly mention that XD allows you to open Photoshop and Sketch files directly, so you don't need to have any of those